It's difficult to introduce you. You are very unique. We've just been filming bits there for the documentary as well, and I've interviewed a lot of channelers and people that are receivers. That's another word for it, or people that are mediumistic, clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient skills. You're different. Yeah. You are consciously able just to switch in and out, which some more are doing now. But then again, you're kind of at the back when the information's coming through. You don't always remember what's been said. It's a bit of a haze, a bit of a foggy haze sometimes, and you're not naming the energy you're bringing through, except to call it energy. And I was able to speak to it a little bit in the interview. So we've skipped past all your backstory, which we're going to get into. I just wanted to say that straight away. I found that unique.
Right. Yeah.
That's different. Yeah. Have you kind of compared? Do you do much reading up or watching on the internet of people that are doing maybe something similar to yourself?
No. I think it was many years ago that I stopped reading books, because when someone writes a book, they write it about their experiences, what they feel, and I felt that I didn't want to tarnish what I had. So I just felt that, I stopped reading books, I stopped looking at other people, because what they're all doing, they're doing a great job.
Yes.
Let's face it, they're out there doing it, and they're doing it extremely well. And we're all different. Oh, yeah. So I just feel, for me, I want to be able to put my perspective forward in the way I am, untarnished by naming anybody else. I mean, there are people out there that are absolutely brilliant, but what they do is their pathway. I do something different. You
do. Okay, so there's you saying I'm not, I don't want to be compared, but I'm going to kind of make a little bit of comparison here. I felt very much there's a Casey style to your work, the Sleeping Prophet in a sense, where because just to explain this, you're healing as well. You're a healer and you're a visionary. So you're not calling yourself a channel. I mean, in the documentary off camera kind of referred to you as a bit like a channel, yeah? But even the channelers that I've met, even they'll be like, don't like that word. I'm like, don't blame you. It's just it's a word with connotations sometimes. But, even though I've just set the website up, channeling.com,
yes,
that's because we have to use human words. But yeah, I like it that you're different. That's what I'm kind of getting to. I
would say that probably you must be psychic, because if I look to anybody, it would be Casey. For me, Casey was an absolutely incredible man. His story sounded very much like mine, and the way he started.
Right. Yes.
And the fact that I have read many of his books, and probably the one that I related to the most was There Is a River.
Yeah.
That one to me summed him up. The fact that his mother could see him out in the yard playing when he was a young boy, and he would come in and say, I've been playing with my friends, and there was no friends there.
No.
So, one has to remember the time factor there. It's a long time ago, nearly 100 years ago.
But I've got to be careful here, right? I'm just going to stop you there, because in the documentary, which no one's going to see just for a while yet, you talked about, I asked your connection, and it did say that, this addiction, in a sense, I'm personifying words, that this addiction of past lives and future lives, is that what it's really, did you have a past life before? That's kind of what it said, right?
No.
So are you in, then it gets to the point where if you're not reincarnated into the moment now with the Casey's soul lineage with you, then how does it work? Maybe you've got an aspect of Casey with you. I don't know.
No, I mean, you asked me the question. And, as far as books go, probably Casey's is the one that I've read the most of. Because, I'm going back many years ago when I read these books. So it gave me some idea, some concept of what he was. No, I don't feel in any way that I have a connection with him. No way. I mean, he worked in a very different way. Certainly with his healing, he would look to give information to doctors and other practices, which I don't. I don't do that. I work strictly on the body with the client. So it's very different in that respect. And I would think that his psychic ability was different. I mean, he was a very religious man. I'm the exact opposite, because I just feel that religion tends to muddy the waters. And anybody that has their religious beliefs, they must have their beliefs and go with their beliefs. I never knock anybody that has a belief, whatever it may be. But for me, no, I feel that I'd like to be clean in saying that I have my own connection which works.
So maybe you're tapping into the same energy as what he did.
No.
Oh, no, as in, okay, so there's a quick no there.
No, well, a quick no, because if you read Casey was a great follower of the Bible and God. I'm not. So for me, I look purely at the energy.
But then he put Casey's Bible side to the side because it cut him in half when this information was coming through, as you know, right? Yeah. He was totally against it because his Bible principles told him this can't be right, yeah? But I mean, what I'm saying is that is there a cosmic energy that you're tapping into that was the same cosmic energy as he tapped into, maybe?
It could well be. I mean, when you look at the energy, how do you define it? I mean, it's very difficult. You can't quantify it, you can't understand it. I mean, it's beyond all our understanding. So how can you possibly say maybe, Casey was one of those special people in the world, but we can go back years and years and years. And I mean, a question that, strange enough, you haven't asked me, but I'm going to give it to you, is that you never asked me about how long has healing been around? And it's very interesting because with healing, I was talking to a TV producer a few months ago, and he was saying, well, okay, with healing, how far do you think it goes back? And I said to him, well, I'm very much connected in the understanding of the ancient Egyptians, so 5,500, 6,000 years ago seems to be about right. The North American Indians, that seems about right. And he said, okay. And then he came back to me a couple of weeks later and said, you're absolutely wrong. I said, really? He said, it goes back 30,000 years.
Wow.
And I said, really? He said, yes. He said, it goes back to the Aborigines. And they were the first healers that we are aware of. So he said, it goes back a long time. So he said, how do you see healing as an art? And I said, we're talking already about making this film. It's a dying art. It's a dying art because it was resurrected going back around about just after the Second World War. So 48 into the early 50s, when a lot of the soldiers didn't come back.
Yeah.
So people were searching for something. So they would go along to the spiritual churches and they'd be searching for help and support. And mediums at those times would bring through information, but also they wanted healing. And that's where they got it, in those churches. There was a lot of healers around in that period and building up to that period, and certainly running up, I would have said, into the last maybe 10, 15 years, when it's taken a steep downhill, a steep decline, because there isn't the interest anymore. Everybody's very much busier, the world's much faster, things are changing. So there isn't that that movement of healers as they were. And we know, having myself sat on lots of different healing boards,
yes,
that there isn't the input anymore of the young ones coming in.
No, that's sad, that is, because the benefits of healing. I mean, we've not even gone into your backstory yet. I've gone straight into another angle with this, but we will go back there now. But yeah, just sticking with the healing. The woman that helped me, Pauline, with my channeling initially, she was a healer from the spiritual church in Grimsby, and yeah, I've heard of the kind of the problems that they have. Do you know what I mean? And that it's because you have to be certified for it. You don't just step in and start healing people.
That's right.
And that's such a shame that the younger people, and even in central London where we are right now, even you find that as well, that it's not a younger person's game in some respects, or there's not the younger generation coming into.
No, not being the healers. I mean, all of the healing, well, most of the healing is governed now. A white paper came out in 2001 where the government specified at what bracket the healing was in, and it was in section 2. There was 1 which was for alternative, and then 2 became complementary, and 3rd was the bracket that they didn't want to know about. I don't want to name names of the different practices. So we have a strict code of conduct, which I would say was, it's very much based on the nursing code of conduct. So it's very similar to that. So 2 years for a person to learn is quite a long time. And then, of course, you've got to get out there and you've got to make it happen. So, yes, there's lots of other parameters that you could put in. There are things that you can use, symbols, signs, and all sorts of other things. But when you look at the true healing sense of hands-on, it is a dying art, which is a great shame. And I think that, the younger generation really don't have the time to spend on all that, and I think that we're moving into a fast-moving world, where the healing art has got lost. And I would very much, and I'm sure you know, Kevin, that I'm trying very hard to bring that awareness back to people that healing does work. Now, I can go a bit further than that, because there was a university, Northampton University, which did trials
in England,
which was about 4 years. And 2 years ago, they launched the paper. We actually did it at Westminster in the Parliament, and we actually had a health minister there as well. And the proof was that healing is not placebo.
No.
And you might ask, well, how did they do that? Well, to test it on a human would have lots of areas of disbelief. So they did it on seeds, plants, and animals. And the proof was there. The proof was there that healing works, because they did it in the laboratories. One side they gave it the healing, and the other side they didn't. And they could see how the plants and things grew. So we know that doesn't, but there are lots of scientists out there today, and very well known scientists and famous scientists, which are working on the theory that energy can heal. We know that. So maybe we needed a reshuffle of the terminology of healing, and look at it the way it is today rather than what it was before. So a lot of people who are now healers, to be registered, have to step up to a different mark of what they had to do 20 years ago.
Absolutely. And the people that are coming to you as well, they're coming with all sorts of conditions, aren't they, as well?
Oh, anything from cancer right through to bad backs, skin complaints, stress, anxiety, bad shoulders, all these sorts of things. And, I don't use the word cure. And whatever medical attention they're getting, they must continue with that. And also with the medication that they're taking, they must continue that. And I always say to someone, if you feel you've got a good result, then go back to your doctor and say to the doctor, look, I think this is better. Let the doctor make the decision. It's not for me to make that decision. And we know that there's lots of conditions that, that one can't cure or even make substantial differences. But, if you can give people some form of quality of health in improving them, and sometimes it's mentally.
Of course.
Sometimes it's mentally, just giving them that support. The medical profession in many cases can only go so far. That's the best they can do. And there's nothing wrong with that, because how far can they go? They can only go so far, and they do a marvellous job. And so therefore a healer can come along and support that mechanism to help them with their clients, because, people can become very, very desperate.
Yes. And okay, absolutely. And I still want to get into the backstory of how this all began for you as well, but just sticking on the healing line as well. And is there any sort of healing work you do for businesses as well, or is it mainly visionary work for businesses?
Very interesting question, because in many cases, if you've got the CEO or the managing director who's not in a very good place, then the healing will help them. So working with the healing is not the mechanics. The mechanical side plays a wonderful part, but it also works extremely well on the mental side. Now, stress, as we know, is one of the biggest factors of problems today, which has all sorts of side effects. You know, I'm not a medical person, but they go on forever.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
Forever. And you know, stress plays a very big part. Stress, anxiety, depression, these are all things that play a very big part in what happens today. And what I would say is that, you know, when you've got business people, they come along and sometimes they just need guidance for themselves to help them go forward with projects and changes in their businesses.
Interesting, really, really interesting. So, okay, taking this back to the beginning part of your journey then as well, let's go back to childhood in a sense. Now, I know from, you know, doing the documentary with you as well, you know, your childhood in a sense, it was normal, right? But there was, you was different in a sense, wasn't you? You're quite okay to say that, you know. And was it different from the sense that, you know, you had invisible play friends, or was it different that you were just in your own imaginary world in a sense, or?
No, I would say none of that.
Okay.
I would say that for me, I would say there was a loneliness that sat in me. Did I notice it? No, I didn't. Possibly making friends was more difficult, but I had no idea why, because, you know, bearing in mind, you know, many years went by before I actually had this awareness.
Of course.
So I lived that first part of my life just living with it and not really knowing what it was about. But I knew there was something. Something.
Did your parents ever pick up on it?
No.
No.
Never.
No. Did they ever know that the kind of work that you've gone into, were they still around?
They were around in the beginning. I think a lot of people would say they acknowledged it, and that would be about it, really.
Right, okay.
You know, and that's how it is with a lot of people. They acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You know, with a lot of my friends, they acknowledged it. They wouldn't embrace it, because you see, the problem is, you could look at it and say, it's odd. Somebody just sticks their hands on you and you feel better. People can't believe that.
And the visionary work as well.
And the visionary work, they can't believe that. How do you hear a voice? How can you get messages? If you look at the average person in the street, they haven't got a clue, and they don't want to know. They don't want to know until they're not well, and eventually they need to come and see me. I mean, I treat also a lot of doctors, and people say, you know, what about doctors? Now, doctors eventually need help. And let's face it, if you look around, if you really seriously think about it, and I don't like to say openly, but I am saying it openly, that doctors and surgeons, in many ways, are healers. They have a wonderful gift. Yes, they've studied, but they also have a gift of being that person that can do their job. And that's not an easy job.
No.
It's not an easy job. It's very traumatic. Obviously, it has lots of successes, but it's day in and day out. And I feel they must have a gift. They probably wouldn't acknowledge that it was a healing gift.
I've said this in the documentary as well, how people, it's so true what you're saying, how people, even the car mechanic, you know, he's channeling the car, for example, getting the information, bringing it in intuitively, what's wrong with it, or whatever it is, you know, the artist, the musician, even the people in the entertainment business, the people that write books, scripts, you know, so you're connecting to the greater part of the consciousness of energy, where all information is, in a sense. And I mean, I'm using human words to describe something here that's not describable.
No.
Right? So I'm not going to describe it very well. Maybe in the next even 100 years, someone's still not going to have a very good take on it, right?
No.
But it's there. Yes.
It is there.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. The surgeons and everyone does, and I think yes, as you say, it can be a difficult path where where you do take on this work, and friends and even family, religious family as well, right, can turn against you in a sense, right? So is that a test we've set ourselves, to see how, before we come here, to see can we remain in our power, or is it just the natural effect of waking up?
Interesting terminology.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, I
No,
swear.
and you won't believe me. I'm listening to you. I think that, obviously, I've got to answer this simply, haven't I?
Of course.
I was born with it. There's no getting away from that. I was born with it. Awakening, no, I'm going to use a different word. I'm going to use the word timing. Timing to me is
Beautiful.
very, very important.
Yeah.
The timing of my life was when it needed to happen. And when it happened and where it happened. And where we are in our lives. Because if I got this gift, say at 19, I wouldn't have known what to do with it.
No, you wouldn't have been mature enough, would you?
No. So I could have got it at 20 or 25.
Yes.
But again, it was the wrong timing. It wasn't right. So the timing is important.
But then there are some younger people that do wake up.
Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't deny that.
But for your journey, you're saying it wouldn't have been
My
right for
own
you.
journey, yes. But there are a lot of people out there that have started, and I've seen some that 4, 5, 6 years old.
Wow.
That have this wonderful gift. They know that. And across the world, and we're going worldly rather than just in the UK, there are people out there. And when you look at it in the way that the younger people have it, it's quite a challenge for them to carry through their lives. When you're older in life, it's easier to take the challenge.
Well, yeah, it is, because you look at you being younger nowadays, and it's cool to be this, or it's cool to do that, and to go against that grain. I always say to people that when they do go against it, a bit younger, I say, what some balls you've got for doing that. But at the same time, even when I was 35 or whatever it was, when I worked with the voice, it was still the same in a sense. It was still that that courage to come forward. And I say this for anyone that's watching this, just if they do feel they've got the ability, you've just got to. What is a life versus choosing to wake up at the right time, as you say, a timely time, compared to not waking up at the time when you could do? What's the difference and benefit, do you think, of saying, well, I'll listen to that voice now and I'll use it to guide me in my life?
Do you really seriously believe we have a choice? I don't think we do.
Don't think we do?
No,
Wow.
I don't. I don't think we do have a choice. I think, as I said earlier, the word timing is important. I feel that it may be the timing of when you're around a certain person in your life, maybe that you have a better understanding. I don't feel that you choose. Come on, this energy is highly intelligent, way beyond our understanding. Flick a switch, there it is. It's there. If they want it, if that energy wants it, it'll happen.
But what if you didn't want it? Could you walk away?
I don't know that you have that choice.
See
I've
that?
often thought about that.
Have you? Right, yeah.
Yeah, I've often thought, do I get a choice? I mean, we all have free will.
Right, yes.
Do we?
Well, if we're living in a holographic universe, then it becomes unattainable then of what actually reality is and who's dreaming the dream in a sense.
Yeah. I mean, could I change my life now? I look at it and think, could I change my life? I mean, it's not easy.
Would you be pulled back into what you're doing if you did change it?
Well, I don't think I could get out of it. I think it's set for me and that's where you're going. And I think that's where I'm going to be. Looking at it, do I want to change it? Well, sometimes I get difficult days and I think, yes, I would really like to change my life. But in real terms, I don't.
No, of course not. No.
And I think that, when you make that connection, the other side, the universe, becomes your greatest friend. There's not a human on the planet that can be that friend. It's a very, very powerful connection. wonderfully because they don't answer back. That's the plus side of it. But they will do what they feel is best for you. And I have to say, in the years that I've done it, I've never been let down. I've never been let down. They don't always go along with the way they want to go, but
they always remain there, even if you take a different path to what they've told you and advised you to do. I bet they say, well, look, we told you not to do that, but we're still here to support you.
Exactly.
And the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's clear this mess up.
Yes. and you know, at the end of the day, it's not my work, it's their work. So, you know, it's the way they want things to work.
No defining they. It's very much to me that I feel you've got, it's the way you define it. See, I don't want to put, I was going to say that, I'll say it. It sounds like you've got a group behind you, but then that's defining it, and I'm not going to do that for you because I'm going to respect what you want here and what you define it as, which is the energy. Because for me to say, that could be a group he's working with or this and that, what do I know? Do you know what I mean? It's your journey.
How do you define the energy? It's not a group.
No, how do you define it?
It's a space.
Yeah, it's a space, the nothingness.
There's nothingness. I mean, it's like, how do you define the energy around the sun?
But then if another channeler out there, not calling you a channeler, but other channelers doing the same thing as you out there, and they define it as Seth, or they define it as the Ra, the law of one, or however they define it, that's okay. That's
fine.
Okay, yeah.
That's fine. You know, the way you define it is fine. At the end of the day, it's the work that you do. It doesn't really matter what name or tag you put on it, you know, because everybody thinks that you've got the best. You know, oh, you've got this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, maybe you have. But at the end of the day, it's the results.
And let's face this, you're working in central London, which makes you unique as well. There's not many working in central London doing what you're doing. You know, as a visionary and a healer, that's quite different. And which has allowed you to get into business, which we'll talk about in just a bit. Yes, you know, defining it. I think most channels, you know, when you speak to the channel under you know, whatever state, the channel will say, "Well, we've not defined it. They've used that name. We're okay with it." But that's just so that you humans can get it. And I think the people that come to you are on the same level as you. The people that come to other channels are on the same level as you. It's what level that you're at, which you're attracted to that energy to help you on your journey.
Exactly. And, you know, it is, we use this thing called the law of attraction.
Right.
And I think in many ways there is a law of attraction. There is that attraction that the person comes to you who knows that you're going to give them the answers. Well, hopefully you will. You've got to remember, we're not all 100%. We can't be. None of us can be.
Well, how can it be? The future is not set, is it?
No, it isn't.
You're seeing holographic aspects of that future, potentials. The course that you're going on right now, you carry on this course, this is what potentially will happen. But it never came true. Well, that's because you changed it.
Yeah, you changed it. But also, I've used the word, as you know, the way you perceive it.
Thoughts create reality.
Yeah.
Seth said that, so did others. Yeah, where you perceive it.
Yeah. It's the way you perceive it. And it may be that the answer you got isn't the way you see it. It could be something different. So when you're given this information of saying, for instance, and let's be very simple, you're going on holiday in October, you actually don't go on holiday until the following January. But the way you perceived it was, it's going to be October, it must be October. But then there's a thing called timing that changes things. And the fact also that the situation, the mechanism can change, because when you take a bit of information, and any channel I'm sure will tell you the same thing, aspects of what has to happen through a synchronization of lots of people. So to get from point A to point B, you have to rely, there could be 20 people, there could be 200 people that have to make that happen for you to go on holiday in October. And someone kicks it to one side and that throws it out. Still going to go on holiday, but it's not going to be in October. So if you take that aspect of it and you think of the enormity of making that information come true, it can change, not necessarily through yourself, it can change through other people that can change that for you.
But not enough for the holiday not to happen, but just enough that it just wasn't exactly October. So don't be, because as well, right, if information came through that was so 100% spot on, the problem is with that kind of type of information is that the person bringing it through becomes like a god. and you give your power away to that person, and then you get addicted to that person. And by being addicted to that person, it's like, they're going to tell me the future, and they're the one I need to go to, and that's I'll make up even just, crossing the road. I'll ask them as well. Do you know what I mean? So potentially, we're not. No one's able to have the entire knowledge, because I just don't think that's the way life's meant to be. Do you know what I mean? It's like ET beings coming down and landing on the White House lawn. Imagine how they'd be looked upon as gods. We'd give our power away. So, yeah, I think it's nice the way you explain that for people out there.
Well, the thing is that people do become reliant on what is said. But I mean, you must take it in its right context. I mean, some people will almost ask you, do I open that bottle of lemonade? And it's like, well, hold on a minute, I don't think so. I mean, you can't answer all those questions. Right. And some people will continually to ask you questions the way they live their lives. And
it's still coming through a human filter.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
So whatever language they're speaking, or whatever vibration you're having to decode, transform it into some human... Okay.
It's not an easy situation, and I'm sure that all these people that do channel are the same as I do.
Of course.
There are difficult situations where people ask you numerous questions, almost, about what colour shirt they should wear or what pair of shoes they should wear. You can't do that. That's not what it's designed to do. How many people have asked me for the lottery numbers? I can't answer that, because they all think, let's have the lottery number.
Well, let's move this. So okay. Very quickly then, you had a business previously,
yes.
Had a business partner as well, and you had gone skiing, I believe, and it was on that trip that you'd never looked at these subjects before. Was never into them. Someone came and sat next to you in a jacuzzi, and you just felt that you had to speak to it, and you almost felt afterwards, when your business partner asked you, why did you say what you said to that lady, that you don't really remember saying that, or it was almost like, well, did I?
Well, that's right. I didn't have any idea why I said it. So it was like the first stages of the information coming through, but it came through. It went through me, and it went to the other person that needed that information. And of course it was amazing when I started doing the healing that I could actually do that. I have to say I've never hesitated in the actual healing. I've always felt quite confident. So I just feel the energy that's around me is supporting me, because otherwise I could have been quite nervous about it.
Okay, so you had that one experience, and how then did it get to, joining the Healing Association as well? And I know that's not the word it's called. You can tell us the right words for the group in the UK. But from then, giving visionary readings as well. I mean, what was that? All that gap in there is missing for me. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously, I don't know that part of the story. But there is a journey you took, isn't there, from that time to where you are now?
Well, yeah, I mean, I started off doing my own thing in total ignorance of not knowing that I had to have insurance.
Okay.
And someone said to me, you must have an insurance. No, I didn't. And then that put me into a situation of joining an organisation to do a 2-year training, so that I understood the code of conduct, I understood what you can and what you can't do. So I had to do that training.
And the organisation is?
Well, the one I joined was Kent Healers, and then it developed into other organisations. It developed then into bigger organisations that run the healing organisations, of which I sat on for many, many years as a trustee, many of them. But that's something which I needed to do. I got involved with it. And built a training manual and helped other people develop in the healing. But of course, everything's moved on. And we've all moved on. The world's moved on in many, many cases. And so for me now, it's really just getting my head down and getting on with it, and doing the best I can.
Well, you've kind of stripped away the word spiritual. You stripped away a lot of the new agey words, and I don't even like the word new agey, but just a lot of those words, and you've kind of grounded what you've done. And I think by taking away a lot of these words, you've reinvented yourself, and you've got a lot more work because of that. Because
Yes.
people are scared of it. You know, if you were to say you was a spiritual healer and you're a channeler and all this, do you think that would have been detriment to working with businesses as well?
Yes, definitely. And I think I had to strip it away because I think that, what one doesn't understand is that there's a lot of different religious organisations out there. They're not all the same, and they have different ideas and different thoughts. And so it was, some years ago, 15 years ago, that I realised that I couldn't use that terminology, and I had to be independent if I wanted to continue. And for me, I'm not knocking anybody that is a spiritual person and does spiritual healing or faith healing or whatever it might be. But what I do is what I do for myself, and I feel that I've worked through that, and that's how comfortable I feel with it now, because it gives me a larger spectrum of people to work with. And as I say, some people just don't want to know the spiritual or whatever it may be.
No. Okay. I wanted to add that because I could speak to a lot of people in this field by just picking up the phone, and I think they would say the same thing. I think they would be like, "Oh, I get what he's done there. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense," because that does put some people off. Even though for me, the word spiritual has got a lot of different meanings. I mean, there's an English dictionary meaning, right? But to me, it just means that I'm a soul having a human experience. But that's not what it says in the dictionary.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Right?
No. Because the first situation is, as soon as you mention the word spiritual, the person has a visualization of a church.
Yeah.
And then they bring in God, and then they bring in all the stuff that goes with it. So, that's fine. There's nothing wrong in that. But I wanted to be able to reach a larger audience, in the sense of I didn't want to have anybody branded by their religion or their beliefs. So I wanted to take that out, so that if they didn't have any beliefs, they could cope with me.
Absolutely, and it's I mean we're in Knightsbridge right now in central London. Harrods is just around the corner, and a few other major department stores as well that I walk past. So this is a beautiful location, and who would have thought that businesses are working with visionary people in their business? Now they wouldn't be working with you and doing hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of contracts that they're talking about, so millions probably, right? Millions, I would say. Well, you can tell us, unless you were accurate in some of the predictions that you're making.
Well, actually, I mean, being really honest with you, you're only actually doing the business by your actions in what you do and what you say that give people the knowledge and skills to be able to take their businesses forward. Otherwise, they wouldn't come to you. So, you have to have an accuracy there in what you're saying and what you're doing, within reason, to give them the guiding hands. And because, of course, consequently, by being in this area where I am now, it does allow me to reach a lot of people that I couldn't reach before. Celebrities, yeah. I mean, a lot of high business people, multi-millionaires. These are the people that I see on a regular basis. And worldly. I mean, we're not talking, I have people fly in to see me, specifically to see me from Europe and other countries, just to see me, whether it be America or wherever. So that's the sort of situation that I have now, because they want to see me.
Do you ever get clients that want to know the bigger aspects of reality sometimes, or is it very much more grounded stuff with the clients that come see you?
I would say basically
depression, relationships even as well.
Relationships, jobs, that's finances, health. These are the things that most people, it's the normal stuff.
Do they know who they're dealing with? Do they know that they've got someone that they could tap into and ask deeper meaning questions as well if they wanted to?
Well, yeah, if I do shows, I do lots of shows. In fact, I'm doing a show on Friday in London. And it's very interesting how we define how the energy works, because it's quite incredible. Now, bear in mind, if we just take every human being has their own energy. Let's just take that. For me to stand in front of an audience of hundreds, and a person asks a question on one side of the room, I can immediately answer that and then jump to someone on the opposite side of the room, and I can jump to and fro. You know, on average in a small show, I can do 25, 30 people in one show, jumping around, and that's within an hour.
Yeah.
In a big show, I mean, you can do a lot more, 60 odd. So, but you know, people then say, does it drain you? No, it doesn't drain me. But you're knocking all these questions out, these answers out very, very quickly because you haven't got the time.
Yeah.
And so that's important that I'm able to do that. I'm very confident that I can do that. And hopefully everything I give out, although people come back and I see them in the show over and over again. So they must be getting what they want.
Yeah, and you probably won't remember everything that's said, which is what happens. I'll just say something as well to the audience. We said something to begin with about you know, I said I think you might have that aspect of Casey in you. I think actually when we first spoke many moons ago, I think you may have mentioned that to me. I was just thinking as we were speaking, so I don't want people to think that I've psychically tuned into that. I think that's where it came from, because I was thinking about a few things here, and I was like, where did that? And I was like, you know what? Because we knew each other many years ago.
Yes, we did.
And we there was a massive time lapse since we've last spoken, and I'm so glad that, you know, we've been able to say that. So I just wanted to mention that. So, but you know, I try to be as grounded and as honest as I can with what I'll go through with this channeling, and I think it's good to be honest and just, you know, try to show transparency as well with what we're doing. Yeah, that's beautiful. So you're working in front of audiences with that. So you've got two different lives really. You've got this more corporate personal work, and then you've got the sort of stage work, which I don't think you've only seen the beginning of that stage work. That's the feeling I'm getting for you. If I was going to tune into anything.
Interesting.
You know, yeah. There's more to come. There's much more.
I'm sure there is. I enjoy it.
Yes.
And people say to me, you know, so when you go up on the stage, you know, what are you going to say? And I say, do you know what? I haven't got a clue. And it's like, you know, I'm going to say good evening to the audience, and then I'm waiting. And I think I said this earlier to you, that it's as if the energy has read the audience first. So I know everybody that's there, but I don't know anybody that's there.
Yeah.
And then I get the questions thrown at me, and I can give the answers. Now, I don't know, and I can't put my hand on my heart and say to you why I think I'm the only person that does that, because that wouldn't be right in saying that. But what I do is I have members of the audience come up onto the platform, onto the stage, and I sit them in a chair and I put my hands on, and I'm healing them at exactly the same time I'm answering questions.
I love that. That's
so,
awesome.
So it's this dual role that I do, and everybody I speak to say, no, we don't know anybody that does that. I'm sure there is, but you know,
I don't know of many. I've never interviewed one. I've interviewed a few, not many people, but I've interviewed a few, and I've not come across one yet. No, don't count yourself off. No.
It's quite powerful, because if you look at a lot of organisations, in the healing, they always split the energy. They always say, well, you know, you're either doing the psychic side or you're doing the healing side.
Yeah, because I've got to add this as well. Even grounding, you know, you're not even bothered about grounding, are you? You do things very differently to because other people will say, well, you've got to ground. But I'm like, when I heard you on the documentaries we've just filmed, I'm like, damn, he doesn't do it the same as anyone else. This is so different. I'm like, and he's so confident about what he's doing because he knows that works for him. So if it works for you, you should go with it. Do you know we have these rules sometimes in this reality, and we think that these rules are the way, and it's like, well, maybe they're not.
No, I mean,
for everyone.
I mean, I when I go and do shows, they say, oh, we've put a room aside for you so you can go and have a quiet moment and prepare yourself.
Well, how do you know then that there's not mischievous entities coming through you, giving information of a lower density when it could be a bit higher because you don't ground? Or is that based on the answer of the love that comes through in the message?
I think it's quite easy. Ask yourself about negativity. Who created it?
Would be the individual, wouldn't it?
It would be man. Itself, I say man, woman.
Man, yeah.
But it would be the human that developed the word negativity. So if everything was positive, and there wasn't any negative, then you wouldn't be thinking the worst. So as far as I'm concerned, everything has to be positive. So I don't look at the negative side of other entities, because I feel that the energy that I have is the purest and it's the best that's out there, which we can all tap into. Why is there any negative? The only reason we know about negativity is what's been put in our brains.
Well, yeah, and in our brains there's been talk before, or channeled information, maybe not even channeled, I don't know, but there was always in the books you read, some of these books, that there's lower astral entities. Now there may be lower astral entities, whatever that means, in the sense of maybe entities that have not gone up to some of the level that you could go up to, because they want to stay lowered, they want to stay down because they're addicted to being where they might be. And I'm making up words that I don't know the truth on this. I mean, I could channel it maybe right now. I'm not going to, because this is about your interview, right? But I'm just saying what other people have said. But that's very interesting what you say. I will say this to back up what you're saying, that whenever I channel, I just walk through a door and I'm connected. I don't say, in the name of Jesus, I want to test you and say, in the name of Jesus, do you come, to be of good? I don't do that. But then if that works for the individual.
Well, that's right. One can't put a blanket answer to it all. I mean, basically, if you have that belief in the Bible and you believe in God, then you should have that belief. But unfortunately, the Bible does talk about heaven and hell, and that puts that little seed in your mind. Well, if there's no hell, well, that's a bit of a problem, because it means we're all going to heaven. But what is heaven?
Well, what is heaven? Is there infinite? My challenge tells me there's infinite levels to go to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, what even a level is? What is
a level?
I don't know.
What is a vibration? What is I mean, other things like chakras and all this sort of stuff that goes on. Who created that in the beginning?
Well, yeah, who did? See, I always think about this. Like, people talk about opening your chakras and all this, and these chakras. I mean, okay. And even the channel entity, if a channel is going to come through and talk about chakras, is that because that entity is at the level of its understanding that it thinks there's chakras, but had it gone up further in levels or frequencies, then it would have a different truth.
Okay, so if we switch that around, what is an entity? Is it something that we've created? Is it something we fear?
Well, if we live in a holographic universe and we create everything, do we create here and do we create there? Mm-hmm. When we cross over, are we creating that reality? So as you say, if we're going to say there's these things, then we create that, and it actually does come into being. Mm. Or if we say are uncreated.
But does it come into being when you actually do go over that line? And when you do cross over, we don't know that, because no one's coming back telling us.
Well, look at the near-death experiences. When they say, I went to hell, it exists. Because they created that experience. That's what they predicted where they were at. They thought they were worth that. And they'll say, no, it was as real as I am to you. Well, a holographic universe is, isn't it?
Or was it partly to do with the subconscious? Was it experiences that they'd had in their life that came back in a different dimension?
Maybe that experience was playing out in a parallel reality somewhere, and they went over to that parallel reality when they crossed. Because these are big conversations out there, right? But isn't it nice to think outside the box compared to what's said out there? But that's what I respect about you. The way you do things is not anti the establishment, right? No. But it allows people to see that don't have to go with what's been said out there and what's been done.
Well, it also, the way I look at it is that you don't have to convert to one side or the other. You can stick with what you've got, but just put this as another bolt on and look at it in a different direction, really, in a different perception of what it might be. I think the problem is we become brainwashed. And I think that, I think we need to be quite open in our own minds of what is out there. And the universe is just so awesome. It's just so powerful that we have no concept of it.
Well, could I speak to the energy now, just with a few questions? I mean, so just, the way this works for Douglas is it is Douglas, but it's not Douglas, but it is. It's both. It's both the energy and you working together. So I was going to use the words, it's your higher self, but I'm not even going to say that, because it's how you do it.
Well, I don't connect into it, before I let that situation arise, but I don't connect into it because it's already there. What I find a little confusing sometimes is when I'm saying things that I'm not even thinking about. That can be a bit of a pain. It's okay because the right answers seem to come out. But people say to me now, and so many times people say now, who is talking? Is it you or is it the energy?
Well, why have you allowed me to do this interview with you? Because you've not done many interviews. You've kind of stayed away from... I mean, for me to do this interview with you, you were very cautious about doing this interview, right? And I totally respect that, right? Because you've built up your clientele and work. And I wouldn't want to do this interview and it destroyed or hurt any part of your work. I'm not here to do that.
No.
I'm here to look at your work from the perspective of the work I do and just see how awesome and expansive it is. Well, why did you allow me to do the interview with you?
I think there was a message. From what I can gather, there was a message that had to come out. Timing. Do you remember we talked about timing? So the time. Do you remember we talked about this many years ago, and you talked to me about going on your show then, and I just said,
Yes.
not really. It wasn't for me, because the timing wasn't right. Now the timing is right. I think there is the timing now is correct. So bringing through this information, and let's bring this through now without me. I don't know I'm in it anymore, but bringing through this information now in the way that this information is coming through is that the universe has a message to bring across to us. And what they're saying here is that how do we get across to people to understand that this is a very friendly, warm energy which is there to support and help the humans of this planet. We're not here to hurt you. You only hurt yourselves. We cannot make big decisions and changes in your lives as far as war and all the terrible things that are going on your planet. We cannot change that. That's what you've created and that's what you must go through. What we can do is help you to avoid situations and support you. But we can only do that with your permission. You have to understand and acknowledge that we are there. We cannot interrupt your life in no way. But if you accept us as being a power out there which you can join and tap into, then we will help you. But you have to ask.
So I think right now, this is the universal energy speaking to me, right? So now that I have you, you were always there, right? Did we come from you? Are we having an experience as a human form for you, for us to evolve and for therefore you to evolve?
Of course. Every single human that comes onto this planet comes from us. And it's given, every one of you is given that free will because that's how we are. And that free will is up to you to decide what you want to do with it. So there is that little spark in each and every one of you to either see or ignite, one or the other. You have that opportunity. I feel that in the way that Douglas spoke to you, it's all about timing. And bearing in mind, we've had problems trying to understand the way we talk to you and the way we try and explain things to you. But I think through Douglas over the years, we've managed to do that. Although sometimes it's confusing. But we want to be able to explain to you that you all have a choice and you can all make things different. It doesn't make you a wealthier person. It doesn't make you a healthier person. What it does do, it gives you guidance to help slow down the process of ill health, speed up the process of a better standard of living. But most importantly all, we're here to help you look after your fellow humans. And that's very, very important. That's what we're meant to do, and that's what we're going to do. What you have to remember is that day of passing over is where you go. It's not a secret, but it's an understanding that you as a human would never be able to understand. And so it's important, the efforts that you make on this planet, in the way you do, will make you join us in a different way. Every single one of you will join us. None of you go to hell. None of you see the bad things. Everything is good. But if you look at an energy, if you take the energy of the sun, the closer you get to the sun, the stronger the energy. The further away, the weaker it becomes. So therefore, if you look at that context of how energy works, how we work with it, the closer you can get to us, the stronger the connection. It doesn't mean you're going to burn up because you're getting closer, because let's face it, you're coming over to us as an energy anyway. But that's the easiest way to explain it to you, is by coming over to us when you do, and you all will. It's whether you're going to be in the distance or whether you're going to be close.
So that's beautiful. Thank you for that. I almost wanted to call your name there, but that's beautiful. But that message as well is not taken away as well. It's sort of the human life. We're here to have a human experience, aren't we? As well, it's a balance of both, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's why you're a human. Why would we create you into something else? You're a human on this planet, and you are here to serve life in the way it was given to you. But you make the decisions of how you want it.
But I wish I could truly remember like I am now, where I came from before I came here. All I remember is waking up and being conscious at some point in my life. I don't remember coming from somewhere, but I know deep within me there's a truth that I did. But it's the forget-me-not that allows us to have this human experience, would you say?
We don't try and give anything to you from the past. What we try and give you is where you're going in the future. So living now in this world, at this moment in time, you must appreciate what you have. To change the future is changing now. If you can change yourself in the now, you have a much better chance of changing the future. What you had from the past, and let's say you borrow situations from the past to try and make up your situation today, that in itself has no importance, because it was the past. It's gone and you can't repeat it. Where you are now, you understand it, and you have the power to change it. And that's up to you.
Thank you. That's much like other material that's come through, in the sense that you've said it in a different way there, but like, for example, Seth would have said, you know, your power is in the present moment. Not said like that, but I can't remember the words right now speaking to you, right? So when I channel, or when other people channel, are we channeling you, her, it that I'm speaking to now? Or is there different aspects of you that people can channel? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. Why do we need to know? I mean, it's an energy. I mean, there's not just one energy. There's not one big guy sitting in a big chair up there talking to all of us. It's an energy that floats around. It's just out there. It's controlled by its own strength and its own ability and its own knowledge. But it's there to help each and every one of us. So we'll all be tapping in to something different. It doesn't mean that we will be tapping into the same energy, because it's a big area out there.
Is there almost universes above universes or upon universes?
Oh yes.
There's not just, there's parallel dimensional universe.
Yeah. Definitely. So that's why you get the difference of different ways in which we receive messages, information. It doesn't always mean the same. It doesn't always come through the same. They all come differently. It's like somebody going to see a medium. No two mediums are the same, because the information that comes through isn't the same, because it's coming from a different source.
But still an aspect of you.
Yes.
And you're not giving away too much power through those mediums, because we're here to... Do we have contracts? Soul contracts?
We have our destiny. It's better than a contract. I think with a contract, no, I don't feel with a contract, because you could actually bail out of a contract. I think, you know, our destiny is set, and what we do with it. The energy is aware of what you can do, of course it is. But, you know, you have to look at the energy and what it can do. And it's like, if you're educated or uneducated, you know, if you want to be educated, then you'll learn. and you'll want to make it happen and grow. It doesn't mean to say that you won't survive as being uneducated. But if you understand the universe and you want to be part of it, then you need to join it. And the way you need to join it is you talk to it. You need to talk to that energy on a regular basis. Every day. All day.
All day. All day, every day. Yeah, whether we are just in our breath acknowledging it, in our head acknowledging it, being grateful, is that part of acknowledging it, just being grateful for everything you have?
Well, if you're given something on the day, then why shouldn't you thank the energy for it? If you want something, then you need to ask for it in a polite way. I'm not saying that they are forgetful, because it doesn't happen straight away. You need to keep asking about it. It may not be that you get that information. You only need to ask through your mind. You don't need to verbally say anything. But you may not get it as a voice in your head. You may get it through intuition, which comes from your stomach. It may come through in the way of your actions, in the way that, or maybe even just the fact that it happens. You know, it may be that that particular thing, you've lost your dog, you haven't been able to find your dog for 4 or 5 days, maybe weeks, and you keep asking, please help me, I need it. You're thanking for each day that you have, and then one day the dog turns up. Well, you didn't get it through intuition, you didn't get it through a voice, but you got it through an action. And that's how it works. And that's the way I see it working. And I've helped hundreds of people with that understanding, and it works for them.
So this is unique. So I can feel that you're here, Douglas, and I can feel the voices here. It's two of the same. It's in and out.
Yeah.
It's in and out. It's swimming, and it's beautiful. It's like a rhythm. So what? If I was to speak back to the energy as well, again, I'm not saying that Douglas isn't worthy or of this. I'm saying let's combine you both here, because you would class yourself as being both the same. So that's nice. So why have any of us chosen to go through this experience for, to have any of this? What was there just nothing better to do on a Saturday night from where we came from?
Timing. It's all about timing. The time is right. The time has been right for many years now. Drastic changes are coming in, and those changes are timed right. It's all about the timing.
So you're saying I came here because of timing, or events that are going to happen are happening because of timing. I came into this now because of timing.
You came here now because you had to make a message. You had to give that message to other people. So if you think about it, how many people are giving out that message?
Or the number?
There's a few.
Yeah.
But you're doing it your way, which could be different to what someone else is doing it. So therefore some people couldn't understand the other messages, but they can understand yours. You see, because everyone's different. So we all see the difference in different people. So,
I always compare myself to other people who've been very successful on YouTube or something else, and I think, why am I doing what I'm doing?
Hold on. You've used the wrong word there.
I know, I'm just being honest.
What is success? If you reach 5 people and they reach 5,000, they're successful because they've reached 5,000. But did they actually get the message across that you did with 5 people?
Okay. That's one I've got to chew over. Yeah.
So once you've achieved that result of 5 people, it's the old pyramid system of those 5 people tell another 5 people, each one of them. So it multiplies into 50, 100, whatever. But the message you had to bring was to be able to sit and talk to people, not just me, but many, many others, with different aspects of where we're all coming from at this moment in time,
yes.
because the time is right.
Yes.
And getting that message out there. Now, it may mean that the others are covering 3/4 of the world.
Yes.
Your message is going out maybe to the quarter of the world that they're not handling. Does that matter? It doesn't really. It's like you asked me the question about healing. Does it matter at the end of the day with the healing what the results are, providing I can give some quality of life back to that person, whatever it may be, in the minutest of way, even if it's only peace of mind.
Yes.
You are able to go out there and give people a message.
Yes, and I think that side of me, and if anyone, I'm not trying to just bring myself into this and make it boring just about me, because I've got you here right now with this connection, which is so amazing, but I'm just saying this because if anyone else it resonates with, where then, I think what it is, it always comes down to that money thing, just, if it provided so well, obviously, blah, 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 blah. And I've come to realize actually, you know what, it does provide well. It does provide really well, because having got that domain name channeling.com, it was a game changer for me because I saw it through. I'm just not. So I do see the beauty. I guess I'm kind of answering my own question there, and I think with anybody people that are in this field, you just got to keep going forward. And it will break it. But and I think there is great. You use the word timing there. The energy that's speaking to me right now, and yourself, you use the word timing. That's very important, that is, I think, because do you think that there's many people asleep out there, and it's only at the right time will they have a window that comes to them where they can say, oh, hey guys, just, stop just for a minute, have a look at this material, see how it fits. If it doesn't fit, this window will be over. There'll be another one in 10 years' time or 5 years' time where you have another awakened window. Is there awakened windows in people's lives, like timing windows, when if they don't get it this time, there'll be another time where they can wake up?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like people coming for healing. They could be 60 years old,
Right.
never gone to a healer. But the timing of their problem brings them to a healer. It brings them to me. It's the timing. Why didn't they come to me when they were 50, 40, 30, 20? They didn't. They came to me when they were 60. And why did they come to me when they're 60? Because they have a problem that they can't get sorted out. So they come along to see me. Timing.
Which awakens them with other issues in their lives as
Exactly.
well. It's not just about the what they've got. It's what's behind what they've got. What caused that?
Yeah.
What emotional issues going on behind it? Oh my God. You see, if I had come to you before, a few years ago, I wouldn't be having this deep conversation now. I wasn't ready for it mentally, right? So, speaking to the energy as well right now as well, I've had to keep having this feeling that there's a bigger framework of reality that's not being talked about, that's going to start seeping through soon. A bigger framework than what most people are bringing through. Something new is going to come through that's going to give us a higher understanding than most textbooks give us, in a sense. I'm not talking about quantum, maybe, or maybe I am, but I'm talking about some other understanding of the reality of what we think it is. There's some newer information that wants to come through.
Definitely. And we're not ready yet. The timing isn't right for that. But we're preparing for it. So you see, there's a lot of the mechanism has to be put in place before that happens. So we do need to get it right now before we can move on. So where you are at the moment and what you're doing, and you said awakening of people, well, it's all about timing. I don't like the word awakening, but when people come to a point of understanding it and wanted to move forward. I mean, you go back 5 or 6 years ago, doctors wouldn't even listen to me. Now, yes, we agree with that. Not all, maybe only a few. But there's acknowledgement there that wasn't there before. And because, yes, it can work, because they've seen it. What we need to do is to get it out there and let people really see what the healing could do. Now, what we could say is maybe the healing itself has changed by timing to become more powerful. And that is the same as bringing through messages. It may be right at this very moment in time that those messages are coming through. Whereas maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they wouldn't have done. They wouldn't have meant the same. So I think timing is that very, very important word.
What do you think about people who would say, watching this maybe right now, and they've kept us to this point, bless them for doing that, right? That say, well, I just can't buy any of this. This is the unseen. There's no science behind it. This is the invisible talking through Douglas as I speak to Douglas and the invisible right now. How can I quantify that? I'm too logical for that, and I'm trying to put my head around it. Is it because it's just then they're at the wrong time, maybe?
Wrong time for them. You know, that's really what it's about. That doesn't mean to say they won't. I mean, they may not, but it's timing for them.
Well, what about the souls that go home to you, the energy that I'm speaking to now, who never had an awakened experience, or will turn their back on the awakening experience when they go home to that greater reality? What's it? There's no. They've not failed anything, have they?
No, they haven't. They would just go over there, or going into the universe where the energy is there, which they are still an energy, and they would just be at a level, like I explained to you, with the energy of the sun. They won't be as close to the sun as those that have put a lot of effort in, or energy. And sometimes, you know, we don't get that choice. Did I have a choice? I don't know if I had a choice. I don't know if I was born with it, and the timing that came along when I was 40 to say, late 30s, this is your time. You've got to start doing this work.
I could speak to the energy on your behalf and ask it that. Let me ask the energy that. You know, why did Douglas have a choice to use this gift or not? Or can you not? Is there some questions you can't answer? See, the people watching this right now will say, well, you've just put that question into the energy's mouth.
No, because we talked about timing, but we've also got to look at the reality of life in whether Douglas at that point would have been able to take it on. Now, you know, when we talk about this energy, it can be very powerful, and it was with Douglas, and in the early days he struggled with it. Because it was extremely powerful for him, it was very cold for him, he couldn't understand it. So he had to come to terms with all that, which we helped him with. That was partly what it is all about. And so there is a time for that. And then he was ready for it. And now he's growing and growing. And now he wants to better help others, which he is doing. So that's really what it's about. It's the timing for each person in their life as well, not just necessarily the timing of your planet.
So when you say, so I'm stopping you, people are going to kill me. But when you say the timing, but do you have a choice for the timing?
No.
So Douglas didn't have a choice?
No, he didn't.
But where's the love and free will in not having that choice?
The question to ask him is, would he have rather not had that choice?
So did he pre-choose it before the choice?
Of course he was.
So it's all free will choice. Looking covered up to look, a veil to look like it's no choice.
Yeah.
On purpose.
On purpose. I mean, he has free choice, but you can break away if you want to. And I'm saying here with a smile on my face, try.
Well, I can resonate with that because I walked away nearly from the spirituality, but I go into Amsterdam. Not spirit. We will always be spiritual, but from my plan, did it work out? No. Did I lose my business partner for it? Yes. Did I end up there for other purposes, as in just self-growth? Yes. So I resonate with the truth coming through you right now. And I'm saying that to add on to what Source has said. If I can add anything to what Source, I'm using the word Source there, and energy, right? I said, right? Right? What if someone was to use the word God on you?
That's fine. Because God is part of energy. It depends on how you perceive it. How is God depicted to most people? It's through the Bible. It's through a book. That doesn't mean to say there isn't a God. But what it does mean is it's still an energy. It's just defined as a God.
Well, Douglas must be okay about that. I mean, I'm speaking to Douglas as though he's not here, but I know you are here. But I'm speaking to the energy as well, right? He must be okay with this conversation right now, because we're going on tape with this conversation that's going to be seen by thousands, right? And, well, at least 1,000 people, maybe not that, well, who knows, right? But at least 1,000 people for this. So Douglas must feel that now this is okay for him to do this and have this conversation, because Douglas has not had this conversation before.
No, he hasn't. And you see that as he knows and has acknowledged over the years that you must never, ever take anything away from anybody else. And if they strongly believe in God or in their religion, he honours that. He cannot take that away, nor would he want to. But he can run it alongside the understanding of what we are about and what we can do. We are all one. And in the eyes of Douglas, you know, God is an energy. That's what it is. You know, nobody can actually say they understand all of it. But it's the same thing, really. We all want the best out of our lives. We all have sad moments and we all have good times. But with your life as it is, it's your ultimate goal of where you want to be at the end. And that's a decision that you have to make through your lifetime. And it's not the responsibility of anybody other than yourself.
And you shouldn't compare neither.
No, you shouldn't compare. You should not compare. And you should look at your self-belief and the way you believe in yourself and let us work with you if that's what you want. But nobody is forcing it upon you. It's a decision that you make. So with your viewers, in the way that they will see this, they make their own decision on where they want to go and what they want to do. It doesn't mean that they have to believe what's being said to them now.
No, some will leave loving comments and some will leave absolutely horrible comments.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, but that's where their timing is.
Their timing is that. And, you know, we mustn't put them in a different category because, you know, they will believe what they want to believe at the time, and it's right. It's absolutely right for them. I don't feel Douglas has said anything derogative. What he's done, really, he's come across and really putting an open picture there that what is available and what can happen and what you can believe in and what you don't have to believe in. It all comes down to you. Everything comes down by results anyway. At the end of the day, you go and buy a new car and you think you've got the best until you put your foot down on the pedal and it doesn't perform like they said it was going to perform. You made that decision. You may have based that decision on the salesman that sold it to you, but you can change it. And that's the difference. You can change that car for something that does have what you want in it. And that's what life's about. You have that choice. I don't feel that anything that he said or stated would be offensive to anybody in the sense of their own understanding and where they want to be. And there is help out there for everybody, and we will help them. They just have to understand that the energy is very powerful. And if they believe the energy to be God, then that's absolutely fine. We can go with that. We don't knock it. We don't strip it away. You can do that.
I guess our understanding of where we go to is a grain of sand on an infinite beach, in one perspective. As in, we are unable at this level to totally perceive it. But then again, what is really all this?
Yeah, I mean, how can you comprehend it? I mean, the universe is so vast and so powerful. How could you possibly comprehend it?
Am I having an illusion? Is this all an illusion to me? Is this my dream I'm having?
It's the message that was given to you that you're having. This is part of a message that was given to you and what you should do and how you should act. Why do you ask those questions? The questions are already put there for you to ask.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that back and I'll even think about what you've just said there. Yeah. Yeah, okay, well, you know, humanly, I think we've come to the end of time right now. What would you say is the most important message you can leave the audience with the energy talking as well as Douglas?
I think as far as the energy is talking now, which I would like to say that I am, is I feel that the first step to do is to take yourself into a form of self-belief. Believe in yourself, believe that things are possible, have faith and belief, and in that, talk to us, the energy, the worldly universal energy as it such is, and let us help you, because we will help you, and we will give you proof. You will find that, but you have to believe that it's possible.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
And doing the right thing and bringing this message forward at the right time right now. I really appreciate that. You have no idea. So just thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.